Established in 2005, the Henry Hope Reed Award is presented to an influential supporter of the classical architecture movement. Richard H. Driehaus and the University of Notre Dame School of Architecture bestow the honor annually in conjunction with the Richard H. Driehaus Prize for Classical Architecture. Past winners include Henry Hope Reed, who received the inaugural award in 2005, editor David Morton, environmentalist and philanthropist Edward Perry Bass, former director of the U.S. National Park Service Roger G. Kennedy, and Argentinian preservationist Fabio Grementieri. This year's Henry Hope Reed Award goes to the legendary Yale professor and inspirational leader of the preservationist movement, Vincent Scully.
My whole approach at the beginning was a visual one, and I was in Italy 51, 52. And there, I really became fascinated with towns. And I began to see that taking a picture in the Val d'Orcia, say, of a villa, and you had to get the landscape too. So I began to see architecture, not the way it was published all the time in modernist books, which each one's separate, like something in accounting, but as part of an overall urbanistic continuum in which the man-made and the natural were parts of the same thing. Quoting Winston Churchill saying, "We make our buildings, and then they make us." And it's really true. But beyond our buildings, what architecture makes is the whole human environment. And that whole human environment in the city is one in which our buildings, just as you look, say Yale, where the Rudolph building follows the Kahn building, follows the building of 1928, follows the building of 1965. We're seeing the past generations develop one relation to the other, having a conversation. They do. A conversation. That's why it's so important to build in relation to everything else in your building in the city. It's why you have to, just the idea that every building is separate, it has to be special, and it has to be inventive, and it can't get along with anything else. It's destructive of the human environment. Architecture makes an environment in which we live, shapes us. And just the way our sculpture, for example, is an image as our bodies of the human act in relation to the environment. But the Rudolph's building leaps up and embraces the whole thing across the street, completes it. It's a wonderful conversation, literally a conversation, across generations. That's why, just a visual thing of telling you what the world is like and what it's like and how he's different from this one, but how he's like it, and how he's making the same place. And that's what the city is doing. You build in relation to the past, you build in the future picks up what you do. Of course, I've been involved in historic preservation for a long time, and especially since the destruction of Penn Station, like so many other people. You know, that's such a shameful, what they did to Penn Station in '63, of course, is the basic act. It's the basic act of, the basic crime that everybody recognized. Such a beautiful place, torn down purely for greed. You know, there's this great space. A long time ago I said we used to come in like gods. Perhaps it was too much. Now we're crawling like rats. And all of a sudden, once it happened, everybody saw it. But nobody tried to stop it. The National Register of Historic Places grew out of that outrage, what happened at Penn Station. And notice they say places, not buildings. In other words, they're talking about the human environment. And they understand this wonderful phrase. Earlier, I was marinated in modernism. And I love the heroic figures of modernism, the invention, as I saw it, that all modernists did. Now I see much more important than that is the integration of the creation of places and of housing people properly. Every building is in a continual relationship to every other building, seen and unseen, in the world of the mind, in the unseen, in the scene, in the place, in the city, in that place. So I don't believe in background buildings. I think they're buildings, and they're important, and every one is important and does its job in its place. And every one is as difficult and so on as any other. And there's no need to have every building be different than every other. Oh, classical architecture understands that perfectly.
Vincent Scully, considered one of the most important interpreters of art and architecture of our times, has inspired generations of students. Yale alumni often cite his lecture courses as their most profound academic experience. We honor Vincent Scully with the 2010 Henry Hope Reed Award and thank him for his tireless efforts to preserve humane, sustainable urban design for the benefit of contemporary society and future generations.
In the end, it comes to the city as a whole, and to that immortality of human beings, making a place that can live beyond the generations, not torn apart by each generation, but getting better and richer.